undoubtedly long overdue recognition. I'm also in awe of being in the room with all these people that have contributed so much to this sport. And there's people here that coached my son, started Lacrosse at high school where my son played. And just thank you all for that. I'd also like to recognize my competitive colleagues, the University of Georgia. You guys stand up and play for Coach Knisely back. I think it's a tribute to have people come back in 40 years to honor a man that meant so much to him. For those who don't know, I mean, Coach Kurt Knisely is the one who provided the early leadership in 1972, and for the decade after that, to really enable the early growth of the sport here in Atlanta. But the most important thing is he's an unselfish, inspirational leader and a natural promoter. He always did the best for his teams, his players, and the sport with zero compensation. It takes great people to create great things, and Coach Knisely, he really did impossible things. You know, speaking for Georgia Tech Lacrosse, you know, he set the governing principle for where our team is today. I don't know how many of you have been watching what we're doing, but we're in the process of building something special. And it's things that principles that he's put in place in 1972 that are a core part of our program today. So, rather than going through a litany of his characteristics, strong characteristics, of which there are many, let me kind of set the stage of before Coach Knisely and what happened afterwards. So, 1971. 13 players were wearing gold basketball jerseys, wooden sticks. We look ridiculous. We're playing ridiculous. We're making a mockery of the sport. And, you know, it's not Smithtown High School anymore. This is not what the sport is supposed to be. We're playing our first home game at Georgia Tech on Rose Bowl Field where the Brock facility is now. It's our third game. We lost the first two. We're playing Swanee. During the game, this gentleman shows up with his lovely wife and his brother-in-law, standing behind our bench, yelling encouragement. No one knows who he is. He's yelling encouragement. He's lamenting over the poor quality of play, which we're agreeing with. You know, who invited him? Where did he come from? He's here. The passion was, you know, we're trying our best. We're apologizing to him for the spectacle on the field. Anyway, he gave me his business card. I know it was embarrassing. So sometime after that, I don't really recall now, it's so long ago, it was either the fall or shortly after, I called him and asked him, you know, would he coach us? Because I knew this was not the way lacrosse was supposed to be played. You know, none of you would be in the room if we continued playing the way we were. We would have made such a mockery of the sport. It would not have happened. So I gave him a call, and I remember I said, would you like to coach? And he said, sure, I'd like to coach, but I don't want to coach a club. And I said, well, we are a club. He said, but I don't want to coach a club. He said, well, why are you doing this? Are you doing this for social? I said, no, we want to play the sport. He said, I'm going to coach a team. Are you going to be a team or a club? And that set the stage for Georgia Tech. There was a club that was like the business organization to form a team. And he treated us like a team, acted like a team, and what happened? Okay, so here's what happens within 5 years. I have to write this down. Okay, 5 years later, we have 30 people on the team. We're playing Duke and NC State when they were varsity. Nice uniforms. We're playing in Bobby Dodd Stadium. We're scrimmaging Hobart because they came down over spring break. The college all-star game is being played in Atlanta. I don't know how that happened. And this is the best. We're playing the pregame show at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium for a Falcons game. And I'm facing off in front of 45,000 people. Well, in 4 years. I mean, how does that happen? incredible effort, I think, to really talk about jump-starting the sport. So, I mean, that's Coach Knisely. He's all in. And I mean, in regards to Tech, he got involved in starting the first Atlanta Lacrosse Club. I went to the meeting, the organizational meeting, and here we are. Well, we need somebody to play. There's no one else down here. And so he set us on a path that kind of where we are today. And hopefully we can keep going and continue that tradition and continue to build the sport at our level. And it was our great loss that he then left Georgia Tech and went to Athens and created the program there, but he did the same thing for that school. So, at age, I'm now retired, I'm age 66, you look back at important people in your life and something they did. I mean, I'm working with lacrosse today, my son played. I met my wife through lacrosse. The guy who introduced me ended up officiating my son's last game, all due to this man. So it was a great personal gift. I'm now giving back to the sport, and I hope it sort of continues. But it all started with Coach Knisely. Thank you very much. Very, very well deserved. Good job.
Just a thought that came to mind. We were playing in the Atlanta Falcons game. We played pregame, and then the Chicago Bears came on the field to play the Falcons. It was a Monday night game, and Chicago immediately scored 2 touchdowns, and 50,000 people were stomping, "Bring back lacrosse." Bring back lacrosse. That's a true story. I wanted to tell you that some of the most important things about lacrosse are not achievements and not championships and not wins, but prior to coaching my first game at Georgia, we were a little nervous. It was my first game coaching Georgia Tech, and their first game under me. And I asked them, I said, guys, you think we ought to say a prayer? And the team just got together immediately and bowed down and said the Lord's Prayer. And for 43 years, every team I've coached has said the Lord's Prayer before every game. And to the point when I was coaching at Georgia, my 5-year-old used to come to all the huddles, and get in the huddles and say the Lord's Prayer with the team. And one day he came up to the congregation early from Sunday school, and just as we were about to say the Lord's Prayer, and the church was packed. And we said the Lord's Prayer, and right at the conclusion, he goes, "Go dogs, sick 'em." He thought that was part of the Lord's Prayer. That's absolutely true. And I didn't know him then, But, so that's really important, and I just want to tell you why it's so important to me. I don't know if any of you have ever been touched by or seen a real angel, but I have. My dad died when I was 2 years old in Brooklyn, New York. My mom moved me and my older brother to a farm because he had owned a farm in remote Vermont. In fact, I went to a one-room schoolhouse, my first school class. Then she met a man who came up fishing, and she got married and moved us back to New York, to Brooklyn. And in Brooklyn, that's where I learned not only how to play stickball, but how to curse, how to smoke, how to steal rides on trolley cars. I learned, a country boy coming back to Brooklyn, we had to make our way. We had to establish our turf, and so we did. Eventually, we moved to a small house in Long Island, and I joined a gang. I was in a gang. And I did a lot of things I wasn't proud of. I was shot at a few times. We did a lot of things. Every time I was arrested, the police would call my house and my stepfather would say, keep him. I don't want him here anymore. When my older brother got to be 16, they immediately, permanently kicked him out of school. One day I was having a fight outside school with a kid, and some teachers broke it up. And one of them said, "You're Kurt Knisely, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You think you're tough?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're not tough enough to be on my team." And I said, "What's your team?" He said, "I'm the new lacrosse coach at Uniondale High School, but forget it, you're not tough enough." Well, I showed up to lacrosse practice the next day and wanted to prove him wrong. And after a few weeks, he knew, how enthused I was about this great sport of lacrosse. So he said, "You have to cut your hair to stay on my team." I said, "Yeah, but I cut my hair." And a little while after that, he said, "Kurt, you have to have a B average to play on my team." I said, "Coach, that's impossible." I said, "My highest grade was a D, except I had a B in art." So I said, "It's impossible." He said, talk to your teachers. Talk to your teachers and see what happens." So I talked to my teachers. And not only did I graduate with honors and pass the Regents with flying colors, I was an All-American first team high school defenseman for Long Island, and I got a full scholarship to college. So it totally changed my life. I played with the Atlanta Lacrosse Club after, not the Atlanta, but the Long Island Lacrosse Club after I graduated from Adelphi. And so in 1972, when I was asked to coach Georgia Tech, and this was many years later after my high school days, because I was in the high school in the mid-50s, I decided to call my old high school coach and share with him that I was going to coach Georgia Tech. This is before any caller ID or anything like that. I found his number through information. I called him. He answered the phone and he said, "Hi, Kurt." He's an angel. He is truly an angel. How did he know it was me, and how did he motivate me to do the things that I had done? A street kid. An angel touched a street kid, and he really touched me very firmly. Lacrosse is the game of the creator. We know that. It reminds me of a story about the young Iroquois brave. He said, "Grandfather, tell me about life." And his grandfather, who was the old chief, he said, "Well, son, I have two wolves within me, two wolves, as do you, and you, and you, and they're ready to do battle. One wolf is hatred and anger and jealousy, and the other wolf is kindness and faith and love." And the young boy said, "Well, Grandfather, which wolf will win?" He said, "The one that you feed will win." Coaches, you all have an opportunity, a great opportunity. There are still troubled kids out there. Even though the demographics have changed, times have changed, there are troubled kids out there. They need an angel. And if you can be that angel, I promise you, it won't be just one life that you change. I promise you. Thank you to the Lacrosse Hall of Fame for inviting me in, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our awards for tonight. Thank you to each and every one of you for coming out. I hope you enjoyed your dinner and hearing all of the wonderful stories